Hey YouTube, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a video for you. This is not a knife video. I do have a knife with me today. It is the Lansky Responder X9. Very, very big, heavy knife, and I will get to that sometime in the not too distant future. But I want to talk about what's in this hand. This is the Norinco M305 in an aftermarket Archangel Stock. Essentially, this is an M14 clone made by the Chinese manufacturer Norinco. They make a number of other firearms as well. And their reputation in terms of performance is very good. Fit and finish, so-so. Now, on some of their models, it's better fit and finish than others, but in terms of actually creating functioning firearms, reliable firearms, they have a very, very good reputation. I'll make some comments that go back and forth. Some things will be pertaining to the M14 in general. Some things will be pertaining to just the Norinco M305. So let's get into just a little bit of background. Other than the fact that this is made in China by Norinco, it's good to notice that when we talk about the versatility of this firearm, it was the U.S. service rifle in a fully automatic form. This is, of course, the civilian format of this gun, which means it's semi-automatic, so you pull the trigger and it goes off. In the late 50s, I guess 1957, I think, it was replaced by the M16 for a number of reasons, including the fact that the wooden stocks were not suited very well to the jungle environments where the U.S. was engaged in war at the time. It is still, even though it was phased out as the primary service rifle, it still sees a lot of military use as sort of a long-range precision rifle, or to steal Nut and Fancy's term, a sapper, semi-automatic precision rifle. And in that role, I think this gun works very, very well. Now, in terms of my own uses for it, I like to shoot with it at the range. It's tons of fun to shoot because of the large caliber, and because as a 308, even though it's a full hunting caliber, it's fairly affordable to shoot. You know, it's such a common caliber because of the fact that it is 7.62 by 51 NATO. You can often buy surplus ammo for, you know, pretty reasonable prices, you know, large bunches of it. And so for those reasons, it's pretty fun to shoot as a target rifle. Also because of those reasons, the 308, 7.62 by 51 NATO, it's also acceptable as a hunting rifle. And so very, very versatile gun. I really, really like the versatility that this gun offers. And so let's get into some of the more specific things that we care about when we say, hey, I'm looking at this gun, I don't know if I want to buy it. Number one, I think that we always care about the most is reliability. And one of the areas that this gun really shines in is that very specific place, reliability. This is a gun that was originally designed for combat. And so it's extremely well built. It's extremely tough, it's extremely durable. And this gun, even after a lot of rounds, is just going to keep on fire. Now, I'm not saying you should never clean it or anything like that. Of course you should. By the way, if you're watching this video and thinking about buying one, you need to Google using grease on your M305 rather than oil, the gun oil that you probably use on all of your other guns. Just Google that and do your own research. There's some opinions going both ways. I use grease on this one and find it works very, very well. I just use something from the automotive industry it's a grease that can tolerate high temperatures. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, you do need to think about that in terms of maintenance. But for reliability, it's hard to beat this firearm. It's extremely robust. It's extremely well built. I'll just close the action. By the way, before I go too much further, I'll just let you see that this gun is safe. I don't know if you can see into the chamber from that angle, but if you can't, you're going to have to take my word for it that there's no there's no round in the chamber, and of course you can see the feed path is totally empty. So back to reliability. This gun is very simple and very robust. You know, the spring, the gas tubes, everything is very accessible, easy to get a hold of, easy to clean, and you can see in the simplicity of it why this gun is going to be so reliable. The tolerances are just good and large enough that it's going to move easily even with a little bit of dirt or debris, and that's important for a rifle designed for combat purposes, isn't it? And so reliability is very, very good. The only time you may have issues is if you do this kind of thing, and most experienced shooters are not going to do this, and really most people after they chamber that first round are not going to have this issue. But I've gone shooting with people and I'll hand them this rifle and they'll do this. See how slowly and carefully I close that? When you do it that slowly, you sometimes will have issues, you know, failure to feed, different things like that. And you have to say, hey, that's a battle rifle, you've got to just slam it home. And so there you go, you close it with that kind of attitude where it just fires home and you're not going to have a problem at all. In terms of mag changes, again, very, very easy. Here is ships with two mags, by the way, 5-round and a 20-round pinned to 5. And the mags go in like a K mags or SKS mags. You know, we do this kind of angled type of stuff. And so there it is with the magazine in. There it is with the magazine out. I will say one thing, and this is going to be pertaining more to the Archangel stock, but when you switch to this stock, the 5-round mag becomes a bit of an issue because see how it totally disappears there? It's absolutely gone. This is going to be a little awkward on camera, but bear with me. I'm going to work my way at getting this out. There you go. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it just becomes a little bit of a challenge getting that out of there because the whole mag seats flush to the larger mag well on the Archangel stock. So reliability is excellent. Accuracy is the next thing we care about, and of course we haven't gotten to the caliber discussion quite yet, but 308 is known to be a very accurate round. In fact, a lot of long range shooting is done with the 308 round, the 7.62 by 51 NATO. And by the way, this gun is designed for 7.62 by 51 NATO. That is essentially the same as a 308 hunting round. However, you need to keep in the back of your mind that the hunting round has the capacity to go up to, like, I think 185 grain bullet. This gun is not designed for that. It's designed for the 150 grain 7.62 by 51 NATO. If you're going to go up to that larger bullet, you need to make a slight modification to your weapon to the way the gas system feeds to reduce the amount of gas flowing through there, okay? So you just kind of need to know what that, it may be a new spring also required. Anyway, there's a couple things, I don't do it and I don't plan to do it, but if you buy this gun thinking, hey, I'm gonna put in 185 grain rounds and shoot moose with it, probably not recommended with a semi-auto anyway, but if you want to do that, you just need to know you're going to have to make some modifications to the gun. If you're going to shoot the 150 grain typical Winchester stuff through it, no big deal. You don't have to worry about that. But that was a little bit of a sidebar. Let's get back to accuracy. Accuracy is very, very good. This gun was, of course, designed to, you know, reach out to around 500 rounds. 500 yards. Let's get the terminology straight. And it was designed to do that. For, you know, military purposes. The sights are excellent. It is a peep sight. I don't know if you can see that there by my finger, but once you shoot this thing, you really, really enjoy peep sights. And I can tell you that my initial plan was to put this stock on and a scope on, and I've got the scope, but guess what? Every time I think about putting that scope on, I think, hey, let's just go shoot the irons a few more times. I always enjoy really shooting this with iron sights. So I go out and shoot it, and guess what? The iron sights stay on. Eventually, I'm sure I will mount the scope, but the iron sights on this gun are really, really good and are going to serve you for most purposes, okay? Unless you get out to 200-300 yards, you're probably going to be just fine with the iron sights on this weapon. I love these sights. They're really, really fun to shoot, and they allow you, because of just the way they're designed, to repeat your accuracy over and over again. So it's no problem at all to empty your 5-round mag pretty quickly with this weapon, all onto the same target, just like that. Very, very nice in terms of repeatability, which is one of the things we care about when we shoot. And so very accurate, both in the construction of the gun itself and in the way you use it. Now I'm gonna sneak in some stuff from the later part of this, which is meant to be about the stock, and say that once I switched stocks, I found this much more comfortable to shoot, even though it's a little heavier. It is very comfortable, and I found aiming is a little nicer and a little easier after switching stocks. Okay, so I'm really we're still talking about accuracy, and I will say that this stock does help out just a little with accuracy. Now, I want to talk about weight and size because that's one of the considerations that you're going to have to give when you're thinking about purchasing a firearm like this. This is a heavy gun, okay? Probably in this configuration right now, notice there's no bipod, there's no scope mount, nothing crazy going on here. This gun weighs about 11 pounds, so it's pretty heavy. If you're going to be traipsing through the forest, I don't know, this is going to be difficult to deal with, I would say. If you hunt from a blind, or if you are going to the range and shooting and that's your primary purpose, then go nuts. You're not going to have any issues because weight's not a huge consideration in those scenarios. But if you're going to be walking for miles through the bush, you're probably going to notice the weight on this gun, okay? So that's something to think about. The size is rather nice, and I'm going to say this about size. This is the 16-inch barrel version. I think on a lot of websites, I got this from CanadaAmmo.com or SFRC, CanadaAmmo.com. They'll call this the shorty, and it means that the barrel is 16 rather than 19 inches, or 16 rather than 18. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It is the shorter version, and I would recommend anyone buying this buy the shorter version just because of this, okay? If you're walking through the bush, or if you're trying to track an animal, boy, that extra 2 or 3 inches is going to be really, really noticeable. By the way, since we're on that, notice this flash hider is very nice, but it is quite long. You're adding a good 2.5 inches to the length of the barrel with that flash hider. Now, it's really nice, it's really functional, no problems with it whatsoever, just a little bit of added length. And so, gotta keep that in the back of your mind. By the way, shoot this thing when you're in a little bit of darkness, even in shade, and the flash hider does make it look pretty cool when you're firing. So that's size and weight. Let's talk about 308 ammo for a second. I really like to purchase firearms that are in those pretty standard calibers, okay? 308, 7.62 by 51 NATO, 7.62 by 39, which is of course the SKS. I don't own an SKS, but that's a pretty easy ammo to get if you're thinking about it. 5.56 or 223. Technically they're a little bit different, but very close. Again, a very common ammo, and of course 22. But think about when you're buying a gun, how am I going to get ammo? What if I get far away and realize I need a box of ammo? Am I going to be able to get my hands on some? Or if you're buying this for some kind of survival purpose, if you're going to fly into a remote location, live in the wilderness or something like that, again, having easy access or not so easy access to ammo is going to make a difference. So 308 is a great caliber for access to ammo and also for affordable ammo. Usually you can buy a box of 308 shells for $20, $22, and sometimes they're really cheap. Recently I was in Canadian Tire and they had them on sale for like 17 bucks, so I think I bought 3 or 4 boxes. But kind of keep that in the back of your mind when you're purchasing any firearm. How accessible is the ammo? And am I going to have a hard time getting it? Is it going to cost me a lot? You buy a gun where you're spending $35 or $40 a box of ammo, and boy, you're going to be hesitant to shoot that, right? You're not going to want to take it to the range. You're not going to have as much fun with it because every shot, in the back of your mind, you're going cha-ching, 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 and I even find myself doing that sometimes with this gun. That's one of the good reasons if you're going to do a lot of shooting to buy a 22 or even a 223. So the ammo is affordable and effective and versatile, and all of the things that you look for in ammo. I think 308 does pretty well. Finally, I want to touch quickly on the cost. These guys can be had for I think around $400. Now I haven't checked recently, but in the last few months I have looked online, and they're around 400 bucks. Adding this stock, I'll talk to in a second, does add a little bit to that cost, but not an exorbitant amount. So the rifle is not that expensive, and the ammo is not that expensive. So overall, you're coming out pretty good in terms of the cost to own and run this weapon. Let's move into the stock itself, because this is, of course, an aftermarket stock. Now, it comes in either a wood or polymer stock. If you're buying this, buy the polymer. the wood, I've heard all kinds of horror stories, and I have a buddy who has a wooden stock on his, and he talked about having to replace it with another. He's a bit of a purist, so he still wanted a wooden stock, but he had to replace the stock, the original stock, because of the low quality of that stock. The polymer is what I got, and it performed a little better for me. And certainly, if you owned one with a polymer stock, you wouldn't have to replace it like I did. You don't have to do that. Okay. But let's talk about this particular stock. This is the Archangel M14 stock. You can find these in Canada, but they're not widely available, and if you do find them, they're very, very expensive. Because it's just a stock, it's not in any way considered part of a firearm. You can buy them from the States and have them shipped up here, and you shouldn't have any issues. I can't remember. I think I just got this off Amazon, and it was very reasonable. Right around $100, maybe $105 or $95. It was right around $100. Now the exchange is poor right now, so that's going to put it up higher. But just in the back, you kind of need to think about the fact that if you buy one of these from a Canadian retailer and pay the $400 to $500 they want, I don't think you're going to get a gun. So now you've got $900 sunk into this gun. I don't think you're getting a $900 gun. Okay, I think you're still getting a $600 gun or so, and you could end up sinking a lot of money in, and you probably would have been better off to just spend that money on a different firearm if that was what you really wanted. Okay, so don't spend a ton of money on this stock. It's a very nice stock. It's very effective. Makes this gun really, really function nicely, but I just don't see it being a $300, $400, $500 stock. Okay. Now, by the way, there are other stocks for this weapon, this firearm, that go all the way up as high as you want. And the Juggernaut, I want to make a little mention of this because one of the things that I like to do in my spare time is play Battlefield. And in Battlefield, they have the Juggernaut version of this gun, which is this same action mounted in a bullpup stock. And in fact, come on, I can't think of his name. FPS Russia has a video about the Juggernaut Rogue, which is an M14, the fully automatic version of an M14 in that bullpup stock. So that's a cool video you might want to check out if you're watching this one. Now, here's the things that I like about this stock. I like the pistol grip. That makes a real difference to me, and it's very, very comfortable and functional. I love the adjustable length of pull and cheek weld. That makes a huge difference. When you go to shoulder this rifle, and the cheek weld is there, you get a huge benefit by being able to just put your face there and you're good to go. Now, go ahead, fire away. There's no searching to get your head in the right spot. You just bang, you put it there, and if you've got your cheek weld set, then you're laughing. And so I think that's a major improvement, and I would recommend, maybe you've got a hunting rifle and you're thinking about putting an adjustable cheek weld on it. I would say go ahead. It's a huge benefit in my experience anyway. There is under here, so this is just a cover. I'll lower this down a little bit. There's a cover here. Under this cover is a Picatinny rail, so you could mount some kind of front grip on here, or you could mount a bipod. A grip and a bipod I think you'd be getting to be that Mall Ninja type of tactical scenario there, and really even a front grip. What's wrong with this? I don't really see why you can't just hold it that way. Works great for me. So those are some of the things. Oh yeah, also the larger mag well does make a difference when you're changing magazines. Finally, I already mentioned cost a little bit, what not to spend, but I got this for I think $100, give or take $5. So cost is pretty affordable. I don't think I forgot anything about the stock. I don't think I forgot anything about the gun itself. Let's just do a little bit of an overview. I'm going to say that this gun does a few things really, really well. One, it's a full-size, hunting caliber. It's .308 or 7.62 by 51 NATO. That's a win. It is extremely reliable and semi-automatic, and that's a win. It is very, very robust, so you're not going to have to worry about damaging it, breaking it. That's a win. On the negative side, it's quite heavy. If you're thinking about hunting with this and carrying it through the woods, you got to think, man, 11 pounds lugging through the woods. And I don't have a scope or anything on here. You're going to add a few more ounces for that. So that's going to be the downside of this. I think this rifle is acceptable for all kinds of different scenarios, you know, survival or hunting or target shooting, or, you know, all kinds of different things you could do with it because of that caliber, because of its reliability, because of its accuracy. Great, all kinds of good uses for it. Just remember that there's always that limitation of weight that you need to be thinking about when you're considering this rifle. Now, you may be saying, yeah, but Kevin, for the price, I'm getting an awesome gun and I'm willing to carry 4 or 5 extra pounds for that price point. Hey, you know, you're probably right. That's one of the things that I thought about when I purchased it. So overall, I really, really like this gun. It's one of my favorite guns to shoot. It's a lot of fun. When you shoot .308, you really know you're shooting something. It's not so big that your, you know, recoil is all over the place, but it's big enough that you know you fired something. And for that reason, it's really, really enjoyable to fire at the range, or, you know, when you're out target shooting in a field with the guys. Lots of fun to bring this gun out and do some shooting with it. And so I would highly recommend this gun for its reliability, for its versatility, for its caliber, all kinds of different reasons that I really like this. And frankly, there's a subjective element here too. When I go to the range and bring this gun, it's just fun to shoot. That's all there is to it. Okay, so there you go, guys. That's my take on the Norinco M305. Some of these comments will pertain to the M14 as well. Comments about caliber, about shootability, that kind of stuff. And of course, this stock is a very, very good stock. And, you know, I've never heard any major issues with Archangel. One thing I will say, if you're still watching, when you buy this, you do have to make a slight modification to the stock to get the Norinco version of the M14 to fit in here. If you have a real M14 from Springfield Arms, it's going to pop in here no problem. I did have to do some little bit of work with a Dremel tool to get this stock to see, to get the action to see properly in this stock. Okay, there you go. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.